Will now come to order. First thing we're going to review is the legislation and pre-meeting conference, and what you have in front of you. The first thing is from the Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority. Attached to find a resolution to be submitted to the Utica Common Council for its review. There's a resolution authorizing adjustment to the 2025 solid waste service. Take a look at it. I'm good with it. Ms. Testa's good with it. If we could just move it on today. Any issues with it? You good, Joe? Frank, you good? Yeah. Okay, so we're gonna vote on this.
Okay.
Today. The next thing is a common council change, E&A approved annual estimate, interfund transfer of $2,150.
$2 million.
Oh, excuse me, this is $2,150,000, and this is for the budget. These are amendments to the budget. And general fund contingency, $1 million. So we'll put this in committee. I'm gonna have a special meeting where we'll.
Correct, but I mean, I'd kind of like
Would you
to
like to
explain.
talk to it?
Yeah, if you don't mind.
No.
So obviously, with the money that we had heard from the state, I think that, you know, instead of having a tax increase, obviously we want to lower the tax increase and kind of change those funds within the budget. The one is the interfund transfer, the other one is to contingency. The contingency one is the one I have to actually work on, because we actually have to lower that 2.9% tax increase in order to get there. But the interfund transfer one stays the same. So that's it, put them in committee, and then obviously when we have our next budget meeting. Yep, sounds good.
Very good. Next one is authorizing a fence permit from Councilman Birdmaster. Would you like to say anything on that, Councilman?
I'm sorry. Yeah, it was brought to my attention that we have a fence there, and they have a fence, and they're gonna extend their fence, so we don't have to fix our fence, so that, I think that's a win-win situation for us if we pass this, so we don't have to invest any more money in the tree.
Bob, did this go in front of the zoning board
No, not.
or
no, it
planning
did
board?
not. It did not.
It did not. So that has to go in front of the board first, correct? No?
It does not.
Oh, so can you kind of explain how
So
this
they're-
got to us and
They want,
go from there?
came to the engineering department, they were requesting to put a 8-foot fence, I believe, up at Globe Mills. And we have to repair our fence, so we said, well, if we have to repair a fence, you want to put a fence up, let's see if we can make a deal.
So we could vote on this today then, right? We're good. We're gonna vote on that.
Thank you.
Now, the next one is an ordinance extending the moratorium on battery storage facilities in the city of Utica.
So I can talk on that.
please.
So, if you recall at the last council meeting, you passed a resolution, starting seeker. Within the resolution, it included language to extend the moratorium. I realized when we passed that, it didn't include an exact date, and I just figured for clarity, just have a date. So, again, it's for a period of 30 days. It'll conclude on the 1st. We anticipate that seeker and everything will be done, by then, and you should be able to act at your next council meeting.
So we can vote on this today, right?
Yes.
Okay, any issue with this with anyone? All right, so we're gonna move to vote on that today. The next one is an ordinance, moratorium on billboards in the city of Utica.
Yep, same reason. Again, past seeker, just clarifying so that there's an exact date so we know when it ends.
All right, very good. So we're gonna vote on that one as well today. Next one is the common council changes.
I can speak to this. if
This
you
is
want.
gonna be, okay, go ahead, Katie.
These were approved in E&A yesterday. Councilman President Jeruzzi sponsored them. So basically, we were just reorganizing. The clerk that is under our title, under the salaries for table of organization, is switched to the actual clerk's office, and we reallocated. Yeah, I think that's the only change that we have to do. And
So
have the
they're
security
not
match.
pay raises, they're just salary increases?
Is that a difference?
Just out of curiosity.
Yeah, we
They're
took-
just salary increases?
We took $10,000
raises?
from one of the positions, the empty position, and allocated across
Well,
the team for their extra
Clark,
duties.
can you explain exactly what we did here on this? Because this is where you took them out from, took them away from the council and put them on in your, go
So
ahead
we
and
have
explain it.
one clerk that is funded under our account. We have one clerk that is funded under the common council's, account. So
Right.
we're just transferring the money back into our line, so
For the
that's
next
pretty much
budget
it.
year.
All right, any questions on this? Everybody good with this? All right, we will vote on it. And the next one is the same thing, that's just the social security that went along with the,
Numbers
the-
7 through 10 are the same thing.
and 10 is the same, right? And the last one is an E&A transfer. Can you talk on that, Katie, at all? or-
Yeah, this one is DPW had, we were just paying for the parts, I think it was. Maybe Mark can speak to it better, but it was approved in ENA 5-0.
I can't hear you.
Mark, do you want to speak on this one? What the parts were?
Repairs. It's the repairs that we had over the winter for the plows.
Everybody good with this?
Yeah, and on that note, in our packet, our committee packet, ordinances 9 through 13 and 17 through 19 are E&A transfers we put in committee last week. Corporation Council came down and spoke with us. Those are all ready to be passed tonight.
Can you explain what the difference was from putting them into committee? Can somebody speak on that? I mean,
Yeah, you
Yep, so-
wanted
So-
to put them in committee.
Yep,
Who
so I
can speak on it?
Yep,
Thank
so I
you.
can talk on it. Based on the discussions at the last council meetings, I believe that there were some misstatements. It was represented that the transfers were illegal or unlawful. That prompted us to, do a review and see where that was coming from. The section of law that was presented only applies really in one context, specifically as it relates to purchase orders and if there's returns for insufficient funds, and there's an additional request for a transfer. It's only in that instance can a comptroller make a recommendation to the Board of E&A whether or not it should be approved or disapproved. And only then is it a recommendation. The Board of E&A is free to act as they see fit. The comptroller doesn't approve or disapprove any transfer. Only the Board of E&A has that authority. Obviously, the comptroller, as a member of the Board of E&A, can cast his vote, but again, it's the entire board that makes that determination. So again, those transfers are not unlawful. They are legal. There should be no issues with them or any other transfers going forward. So.
Okay, that's good. So anybody have an issue with this?
We'll take out ordinance 9 through 13 and 17 through 19.
Okay, so now we're gonna go over to what's in committee. Everybody got your committee folder in front of you? Okay. Katie, do you want to pull something out?
Yeah, we will be doing ordinances 9 through 13, the E&A transfers.
Let's take a look at them.
We have a couple. You're going to want to just go to the back of the packet. Because we have 2 ordinance 9s.
So 9 through 13?
Correct.
9, 10, 11, and I got an 8 here.
We have, yep, and 12, 13, and then ordinance 17, 18, 19. The very last part of the packet.
Okay, I think I got it. So we said 9 through what?
9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 18, 19.
I think I pulled them all out. If I didn't, just let me know. The first one is ordinance adding, this is proposed ordinance number 9. Ordinance adding section 2-29-136 of Utica City Code of Ordinance. It has to be an article of signed regulation of the Utica Code of Ordinance shall be amended.
Is this what you just pulled out, Jack?
It's the
Yeah, you got the wrong ordinance 9.
You gotta go to the end of the packet, at the very end.
All right.
There's 2 number 9s.
You're looking for all the E and A transfers?
Yep.
Oh, yeah, it's the 2/25 date.
All right, this is a E&A transfer, proposed ordinance number 9. And, take a look at it, let me know what you think. Any issues with this?
Nope.
We good?
All set.
I think it was just said that 9 through 12 are coming out of committee.
Right.
So who's bringing it out of committee? That's, okay, you are?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
she was
okay,
calling them out.
right, so why would you bring it out of committee if you didn't know you had the votes for it?
Well, I just want to make sure we had it.
So, has the questions been answered on the
Is-
contractual
well,
811?
I
Have they
just
been
was-
answered? I
I just
mean,
was asking on that,
right, so, I don't know, I
Any
haven't
issue on
gotten
any of these
answers.
coming out?
I mean, somebody's gotta speak on the behalf of all this.
Elmir, do you mind going through each of these?
Thank you.
The $15,000 for contractual 811, Nick can maybe give you a little bit more detail if you need it, but it's every time anyone in the city does any digging for any specific reason, we get billed for that. And it's tough to budget for that. It's usually under budget. That line is gonna continue to go up just due to costs for everything. That's the reason for this transfer. There's other smaller things, memberships, repairs to the vehicles, and just some supplies that they needed. Some of these accounts didn't even have a budget for it, but just due to trying to post expenses to the right accounts, that's why we're doing those transfers. The fire admin contract services, that's the Berlini. It's the fire department safer grant contractor that handles that and collects all the revenue. That's an $80,000 contract. That line is not funded appropriately for the last 2 years. So that's the point of that transfer. Fire admin repairs, this has to do with the actual infrastructure of all the firehouses. All the firehouses are old and, you know, we try to control as much as we can, but there are certain expenses that you just can't avoid that you need to address. The physician fee overage, that's due to retirees. That has to be paid out. The assessment salaries, in absence of a full-time assessor, we hired a contractor to take over that job.
Which he just gave us.
Yeah. The fire mechanic repairs, this has to do with 2 fire trucks that were ordered in 2023, I think. It was bond ordinances for, I believe, $900,000, $1 million, and when we took delivery of those fire trucks, the invoices came in much higher just due to just inflation over the years. So we had to pay it out of somewhere. We're not going to bond for it again just to cover this overage, but this stems from.
So doesn't this kind of attest to the ban that we just did? Or is this something totally different with the fire apparatuses?
The ban we did has nothing to do with, I mean, this is part of it. The ban just has to do with, we get the last state payment in March, and we're incurring all those expenses throughout the year.
Okay.
Didn't the auditors just tell us? Switch it to this one?
Switch what?
I thought this purchase was
There was good news. We did receive a statement from the state for our last draw. So we should be receiving it, actually put it in our account.
So
very
we,
soon.
okay, so this is what I was looking for, that we expended it, and this is now for the RAN then. Okay, thank you.
It has nothing, the RAN had nothing to do with paving, I think that was stated. The liability insurance account, this information is provided by an employee in the engineering department. This is another account that's generally not funded enough. It's funded in the budget for $475,000. This budget year alone, we've got the estimates, and it's going to be about $600,000. So the $80,000 is just to cover last year's. The parks, other equipment, obviously the electric account, utilities are going up. The parks, other equipment is maintenance on the lawnmowers. Just the parts needed to get these machines up and running. The Nail Creek flood is to record the bond that was passed for the, Nick can talk more about this, for the separation. I think.
Yeah, this is to fix the floodplain walls coming down the arterial.
The what?
The floodplain, the walls.
Thank you so much.
Are they gonna put up more wells, or just?
No, they're just gonna clean them up and clean out the bed, reinforce them so that we don't have the flooding that we're having. That's one of the main veins that come down from Sequoia and et cetera. So.
Any other questions on the transfer?
Engineer discussing this with us.
Yeah, Paul was here for this.
All right, yeah.
Yep.
All right, I'll go with this. Any issues? All right, everybody go down these? All right, so we're gonna move those forward too. All right. All right, does anybody want to take anything else out of committee? All right. I'd like to move to close this meeting. In a second. Second. All right. Meeting is adjourned.
The clerk will call the roll.
Aiello, Burmaster, Bitar, Carcone, Irvin, Wazlewski, Colosimo Testa, Lemetico, Druzzi, all present.
Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by a moment of silence for the deceased members of the Common Council.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion and a second to dispense the reading of minutes from the previous meeting?
Motion?
Thank you.
Calling for a public hearing regarding annual estimate 2026-2027. The public hearing is open. Our first speaker is Francis Brown.
I'm going to keep this short. I don't think the mic's working. There we go. Essential services are a must to have the city expand to make public safety top priority. That means the fire department, police, DPW. Without the DPW, there'll be no roads for the fire department and the police to respond. Codes is asking for $7,000 for overtime. I say give them 15. Let's catch these bad actors in the act and make them pay and not the honest taxpayer. Thank you.
There are no other speakers signed up. Public hearing is now closed.
I can go last if you want. I'll go last.
Okay, public comment period. Allows 3 minutes per speaker. Our first speaker is Mark Nicoletta. Oh, no. Mark, hang on for a second. We're going to waive the rules of order for Jack Lemetico. Councilman Lemetico would like to speak. Motion to waive the rules. Can I get a motion? Second.
Ready? Utica firefighters, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. Last week at our council meeting, while discussing our annual budget, I made a comment about our Utica firefighters that I truly regret, for which I now want to apologize. After learning that our firefighters' current turnout gear may contain carcinogenic material, I made a poor, off-cuff remark when I said that's why they receive hazardous pay. It was careless, it was wrong, and I take full responsibility. I understand how that comment was disturbing, disrespectful, and hurtful, and very regrettable. Please know that was never my intention, but I know that intentions do not erase impact. And I fully acknowledge the impact of my words, especially to the firefighters here who are battling cancer, those in remission, and to the families who have lost loved ones to cancer caused by the exposure to this job. I think about the 4 members of our department who died from esophageal cancer after the 1981 GE fire. I remember it. Fire Chaplain Reverend David Looney, Captain Louis Gennady, Lieutenant Ed Bruni, Fighter Ed Bick. May they and all those we have lost since rest in peace. We will never forget. We will never forget. We all know that firefighters face a higher risk of cancer because of toxic exposure. We know that cancer is the leading cause of death among firefighters. These are not statistics. These are facts. These are our neighbors, our friends, and our family members. I have seen this kind of sacrifice up close. I served in the military and was assigned to assist at Ground Zero during the 9/11 disaster. I remember daily as the smoke in the air and watching the fire department in New York carry the flag-draped bodies of their brothers from the pile. I watched this daily while I was there. As of late 2025, more fire department New York members have died from illnesses related to that work than that were actually lost that day when the towers fell. The numbers are still growing. This is a reality of the profession. I was reading over 50,000 people since that time have gotten sick from that. I have the utmost respect for anyone who puts their life in harm's way. I've worn the uniform much of my life, in the Army, overseas, and later as a correction and parole officer. I know what it means to accept risks in service to others. And that is actually why I should have chosen my own words more carefully. Being tired of going through personal loss is no excuse. I'm an elected official. I should know better. And I must do better. To our firefighters, I'm truly sorry. I respect you, I value you, and in the past, as an elected official, I will continue to support funding for safety equipment and protective gear that you need in order to do your jobs as safely as possible. And anyone who was hurt by my words, I apologize sincerely, and I welcome an opportunity to sit down one-on-one with anyone who wishes to do so. Thank you very much.
Thank you, council member. Public comment period, 3 minutes. Our first speaker.
Good evening. My name is Mark
Mark
Nicoletta
Nicoletta.
Jr. I'm the president of IFF Local 32, Utica Professional Firefighter Association. I originally came here today to address the comments made by Councilman Lometico at last week's budget hearing, but at this point, our position is made clear through both the media and our presence here today. What concerns me is that comment has overshadowed everything that was discussed in that meeting beforehand. Chief Ingersoll was advocating for 140 members to our complement to adjust the call volume increase. He discussed the need to pursue grants in order to improve our firehouses, and he addressed the need to invest in new turnout gear to address the long-term health risks. These are serious issues, and they deserve serious attention. We appreciate Councilman Lometico's apology, and at this point, we're focused on moving forward. Our priority remains the same, the health and safety of this department, not only for our members and their families, but for the citizens of Utica that call on us every day. Thank you.
Thank you. Next speaker, Brian McQueen. Brian, the Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period. Are you in agreement?
I am in agreement.
Thank you.
Chairperson of the Common Council, distinguished members, thank you for the opportunity to speak here this evening. Before I begin, I'd just like to show of hands, how many of you people in the audience today know somebody that's been diagnosed with cancer? Raise your hand. Thank you very much. My name is Brian McQueen. I'm a local volunteer firefighter, and I'm a co-founder of the past president of the Believe 271 Foundation, a local not-profit that has assisted 154 firefighters in their battle with occupational cancer since 2015. But for the last 11 years, since December 24th, 2014, I've also been a patient at Memorial Sloan Kettering Cancer Center in New York City, fighting occupational cancer linked to the very job I loved and the community I swore to protect. When my wife and I met with 5 oncologists to discuss their assessments of my diagnosis and their prognosis, we found the information shared to be deeply impactful. We didn't know that what the outcome would be. I didn't know if I was even going to see my grandkids grow up. I didn't even know if I was going to ever see my grandkids or attend a sporting event or a concert. I didn't know if I was going to be able to continue being a volunteer firefighter in my community. Those 11 years have been a battle, and I'll be honest with you, it's been true hell. The continual tests, the trips to New York City, I would not wish upon anyone, including any one of you or your families. Because of the intense treatments, I no longer have my saliva glands and my partial thyroid. I am here tonight to applaud the leadership and union of the Utica Fire Department for taking proactive steps to protect not only their firefighters but their families. Because cancer does not just affect firefighters. It affects spouses balancing work and treatment schedules. It affects children who grow up visiting hospital rooms instead of being on the ball fields. It affects families financially, emotionally, and socially. It affects the brothers and sisters you walk into battle with. Cancer is now the leading cause of line-of-duty deaths among firefighters in the United States. It surpasses burns, trauma, heart attacks, and collapsing structures. That is the reality of the departments across this nation and what they're confronting. Trust me, this is no joke. It's not hazardous pay. It could never resolve the pain and suffering, not just physically, but mentally. The science is clear. Firefighters face increased cancer risk due to repeated exposures to smoke, soot, combination byproducts, and hazardous materials. Homes of today are changing. What used to take us 13 minutes to escape a home fire now is down to 3 minutes. Compared to the general U.S. population, firefighters are approximately 14% higher risk of being diagnosed with cancer and an 18% higher risk of being diagnosed with cancer and dying. Just last year, the Sylvester Cancer Center at the University of Miami did a study using wristbands. Firefighters wore them for a 24-hour period on the job. Those results showed 24% increase in PHA chemicals from fires of today. Among the contributors to that risk are PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl chemicals, or what we call forever chemicals, historically used in turnout gear because they resist water and stains. Now, we know now that PFAS does not break down in the body or the environment. They accumulate over time and are linked to cancer and other serious health concerns. The very gear designed to protect us can, if not properly modernized, contribute a long-time exposure. Governor Kathy Hochul recently announced legislation to ban the sale of firefighter turnout gear containing intentionally added PFAS in New York State in 2028. The action recognizes the urgency of protecting firefighters from these risks. Your fire service leadership here in Utica has been ahead of that curve, and I applaud them for that. Council members, firefighters in Utica run toward heat, smoke, explosions, and chaos so your neighbors can live safely. They show up every single day. Tonight, I am asking you to stand with them. 1, support policies that reduce carcinogenic exposures. 2, support cancer education and early screening. 3, support modernization of protective gear, including PFAS-free alternatives. Because the cost of prevention is far less than the cost of treatment, and no budget line can measure the value of a life saved. Your firefighters protect this community with their courage. I respectfully ask that you protect their health with your leadership. Utica is a great community, protected by exceptional first responders. Thank you for your time this evening, and I applaud each of you for the work that you do.
Thank you, Brian. Our next speaker, Ron Vincent. Ron, the Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes, Mr. President, but I surrender my time.
Thank you, Ron. Our next speaker, Thomas Carcone. Tom, the Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, Public Comment Period. Are you in agreement?
Yes, I am.
Thank you.
Tom Carcone, 20-year veteran of the fire department, retired in June, former president of the Local 32 Utica Firefighters. I had hoped never to step foot in these chambers again. Unfortunately, I find myself here. And it's only because I love the guys and girls that I put my life on the line with. And they mean everything to me. And I'm not here to talk about the comments made this last week, or Jack LaMedico. For the last decade, he's already known that he's not worth any of my time or thoughts. So I have nothing to say to him, except the average life expectancy of a career firefighter is 68 years old, Jack. I hope you live a long and prosperous life in full fulfillment. As for the leadership of this department, I heard silence with his comments. That's the problem that I saw. There's nobody in here advocating. We have a systemic problem of the desecration of the Utica Fire Department, the admirable service and work that we provide to our community, and the inevitably fatal job and career that we've chose. Those risks every day take precedent over everything, and the only thing we try to do is get home safely to our family. This all began now in our second administration of the same things that have been embedded in this city that kind of justify the things Mr. LaMedico said at the last meeting. Under Paul Mary, we had our last leader and true chief, Russ Brooks, walked out of this building, and Russ, who died of work-related cancer, acknowledged by the World Trade Center, acknowledged by the New York State Compensation Board, acknowledged by firefighters of the line of duty death, was denied here in Utica by the city only. That was the first line of disrespect from the same immoral, unethical attorneys that guided this city, that they should deny him such benefits. Then it carried on to a second administration that feels the same way and does nothing better, regardless of their promises during their screening process in their acknowledgement of the problems that we face. We have chiefs that aren't concerned. When they're asked if they need more men, they say that's not in the plans. They had saunas that take cancerous out of our pores, offered by Mary Ann Buttonshaw, Assemblywoman Buttonshaw, for 5 years and refused to take them. No advocates for the SAFER grant, no advocates for our men and women. We have an assistant chief that has unlimited resources to the same immoral and unethical attorneys to deny our 207A claims every day. Our men and women turned to our mayor, ignored. We turned to this council. We made a public vote of no confidence, and nothing was done. We've become the butt of your jokes. That's how bad it has gotten. And there's nobody in this room leading or silencing people that disrespect us. God rest his soul, if Chief Brooks was still alive, he would have been asking you to go outside on the split second following your comment, and you know it. There's nobody here stopping you or stopping the city from abusing your most admirable employees that you have. We worked through COVID-19. I talked about hazard pay for the $60 million that you were supposed to segregate our firehouses with and never did, and are talking about now. We didn't receive a penny of hazard pay, and we were the front line, giving EMS, CPR to people facing and fighting COVID in the streets and bringing them home to our families. Not a cent of hazard pay for that. The real problem and the real reason I came today is because while cancer's a risk, it's a serious risk, it's almost a pandemic in our fire service. I've seen too many of our retirees die within 10 years of their retirement. At the time that I left as union president, we had 4 current members fighting cancer. But we face a risk that's even more dangerous than that. Currently, our assistant chief is convinced, along with Corporation Counsel and anybody else that's not looking out for our city, that the minimum staffing levels should be something that they try to remove. Well, if cancer is a problem, I could tell you something. If you remove that minimum staffing, I can guarantee that citizens will die, and a nightmare certainty that probably one of the men or women in this room will probably die. Fighting a fire, our fatalities will be a normality, and it'll only be a matter of time until something happens to one of these guys. It's not the union's job to make sacrifices in our negotiations to take that off the table. It's your job to educate them, Chief. If they continue and put that on a piece of paper and leave it to a judge and an attorney to decide the public safety of our community and the safety of our firefighters, you might as well resign. You shouldn't allow the assistant chief to convince them it's even a decent proposal, and you shouldn't allow it to be proposed in front of an attorney or a judge to possibly have it taken, knowing the impact that it would have on the citizens and knowing the risk that it would bring to our firefighters. There's not a leader that I've seen in this room. He could get away with a comment like that without a person speaking up. I tried. Our members tried. They voted. They brought no confidence. I brought it to your attention. Nobody's willing to break the systemic problem. Who's the leaders? These men and women put their life on their line. They're dying at 60 years old. Their spouses left without a husband or wife. Their kids losing their dad at 15, 20, 30 years old. All to serve. And you guys deny their 207A claims and give them, you hire an attorney firm that the lead attorney and partner in the firm is already on over $100,000 pension with the city, and you're giving them $100,000 more to obstruct a contract that'll bring benefits to the families that serve you every day through these things that you deserve hazard pay for and don't get. The risks that you don't face that we do. There's not a leader in this room, and if minimum staffing is gone, God save the citizens of the city of Utica, because they will not have services anymore. And God save my firefighters, my brothers and sisters, because that nightmare is almost a certainty. And I don't want to see any one of you coming to us and saying, oh, well, you know, that was admirable, this or that or this or that, because you didn't lead when the time came. And your omission is partaking in it. Somebody has to acknowledge the problem here. Somebody has to step up. Chief, you got to tell them what minimum manning means to this department and what it would do to this city. Mayor, you better wake up, because you will single-handedly destroy the city of Utica.
You're going to have to finish up.
And the public safety of the city of Utica. And that's all I got to tell you.
Our next speaker, Francis Brown. Francis, Common Council has provided you a copy of Section 3244, public comment period. Are you in agreement?
No, I do not agree with 3-22-44D2.
Francis, then you
Under
can't
the
speak.
Constitution, it permits citizens to speak public officials
Francis.
with sharp criticism.
No, you got to agree.
And no, I don't. No, I don't. I know the law. Okay, the protection applies.
Can we have a
particularly
police
force.
officer in here, please, to
You are in
remove him?
violation of Sullivan versus New York
gotta
Times
go, Francis.
versus Sullivan. Do not come near me. I have a right to speak towards
Nope.
people. This will open you up to a lawsuit. Okay, this is constitutional.
Got to be removed, Francis. If you agree, Francis, you can
all
speak.
see how they treat us. This is the Constitution you're violation of, bud. You just open yourself up to another lawsuit. You cut me off the last public hearing, that's a lawsuit. Touch me, I'll sue you too. Oh, that's good. Get in line.
We have no common council guest speaker. We do have communication from the mayor. Mayor?
We'll just give it a minute.
Think Ed's missing all this? Think Ed's missing all this?
Yeah.
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 Next week, we're gonna review.
Mayor, you're up.
Percentage of the time that over minimum staffing.
Yeah.
As I'm saying.
Yeah. Can the crowd please be quiet? Mayor?
All right, thank you. So I'm here tonight to both make myself available for any questions that the common council would like to ask myself, the budget director, regarding the budget, but also to address, similar to last year, I came in and addressed a lot of the things that were floating around in the public, whether accusations, questions, etc. First and foremost, salaries and overtime. It's been stated multiple times that we overspent salaries and overtime lines. Second is healthcare. It's been stated that we've been over budgeting for healthcare. I do want to speak to the fact that due to these accusations, which after we go through this, the budget director and I are going to explain to the common council and you'll all see, and we'll provide real data that's been accounted for to the council after the presentation so they can all see it, that we did not overspend, we did not authorize overtime that was not authorized, and we've been managing the budget appropriately. Healthcare, we did not over budget for. AIM, I'm going to discuss, because unfortunately I sent you all an email earlier. Due to this, and we all know the financial state of the city, after the auditor presented this past Friday, it's pretty point blank that it's a reality at this point. It's not made up, it's not fictional. But due to the fact that we want to just continually go on a witch hunt of me hiding money and overspending, let's make it to Albany. And now I was asked to re-specify why the $3.8 million we brought home is needed, because they're questioning the fact that it should exist. I do want to be open to overall budget questions when we're done. But then one small thing I wanted to lead off with. I almost feel like I can end with it, because I feel like everyone's going to stay here for this, but I'm going to start with it. This is a minor thing, very minor, but if anyone did go to the presentation when I gave the budget proposal to E&A, what I led off with was the fact that the last couple budget seasons under my administration have been very difficult. It's obvious they've been very difficult. So the way I compiled this budget was I literally took the Common Council's approved budget last year. And that's where I started. That's where the mayor approved budget came from. It was all of the lines the Common Council passed, all the lines the Common Council whittled down, cut, didn't want to have in the budget, etc. I did that because I wanted to start from where the Common Council left off last year, the budget they approved, going into this year, even though expenses have increased. The second thing the budget director and I did, as I said, I'm going to highlight all of the things that need to change, And I sat there with the budget director and I went through things like National Grid and all that stuff. And it's kind of interesting because what happened last week, and this is why I want to speak to it, it's something very minor. Safety gear, line A53-412-21301. Now, given what was said during public comment, I'm sure I might get some chatter on this, but this is real. It's because I actually understand the budget, but I also understand the fire department. The budget director got to this line, safety gear, and the chief had pumped it up to 175, but the Common Council set it to $60,000 last year. They cut it then. There's very few lines I increased because I wanted to stick with the Common Council's budget. This is one of those lines. I bumped it up to $100,000, and I sat there and I said, listen, I did the math. That should be enough for between 16 and 17 sets of turnout gear. The chief and I also discussed it because typically what we can do is find other discretionary funds. We receive a lot of help. Thank you if anyone's listening, from assembly people when we want to fill gaps like that. We bumped it up from what it was cut. It was one of those lines I increased. And what's odd is the budget director, who just saw safety gear, he asked me a question. He goes, you know, the actuals are at 54. The common council cut it down to 60. 60. Why are you bumping this one up of all the lines? And there's very few I moved. And what was my answer in all seriousness?
Because the new safety gear does cost a lot more?
Yeah, turnout gear.
Turnout gear.
Those are my words, turnout gear.
Turnout gear.
So while I'm getting beat over the head for raising taxes, for having to manage a fiscal nightmare over the last couple of years, one of the very few lines that went up was that specific line, because I know we need to purchase that turnout gear and we need to make sure the funding is there for those types of resources, because it's ridiculous that people would not even understand what that is after years of working with these budgets. Now, regarding all the other comments about who's spoken or who's been silent, etc., there's a lot of people in this room who I haven't seen Facebook posts from, or little quips, etc. I decided to explain where I was coming from, because this is real. And these are notes from when I prepared this budget 2 months ago, based on the fact that you all need turnout gear, and every single year it gets cut. And I didn't care that I had to raise taxes again. That was one of the things I had to raise it for. So moving on, I'm gonna go on to the rest of this. And given what was said, I'm not gonna rally round someone's mistake, but I do wish one thing. And I used to have to say this all the time when I was council president. I truly wish people would think before they speak. All right. So salaries and overtime. So a couple weeks ago, maybe a week and a half ago, Councilperson Aiello sent us an email.
16 days ago.
What's that?
16 days ago.
16 days ago, thanks. Stating that we overspent $2.1 million of salaries. At that time, that was forwarded to the controller's office to try and figure that out through the auditing. The $2.1 million, we couldn't put an exact finger on when looking at the actual munis numbers. That then turned into a discussion of the fact that we were authorizing all kinds of crazy overtime, and that we were overspending on overtime. So rather than just try and answer quickly, the budget director and I did an entire audited salary analysis. Part of the reason we were prepared to do so, similar to what I explained that I was going to start doing in 2024, is we keep a running spreadsheet of the actual numbers from every single budget year going back to fiscal year 23, which started April 1st, 22. We do that because we're constantly tracking how we can become more efficient without actually cutting services to this city. One of the things we've done over the last 2 years is maintain services even with the overreaching expense growth. It's insane. So I'm gonna go through salaries first. For the salaries, I just brought one example. Now, Councilperson Aiello was talking about the just recently closed fiscal year 25 budget year. That's where all the accusations lie, where we overspent, etc. I'm going to account for all of this as I go through it, and then each one of you are going to get the spreadsheets, which are just simply exports of munis. Nothing's been hand done. It's exports of our actual audited accounting software, which, by the way, the fiscal year 25 books just closed last week. So this is a journal entry. If you want, you can go through and you can talk to the controller's office and go through all of the journal entries from fiscal year 25, because this is one example of many things that happen. What you'll see is there's evidence of reclass entries, not evidence, it's there, that didn't happen. This is the account to which salaries are supposed to be paid out. Now what you'll see is that there's overtime being paid out of these accounts, okay? That's not supposed to happen. It's supposed to be reclassed when the books close in the actual controller's office. If you go through and add up all of those reclass entries, what you'll see is a lot of those, quote, overages that I was accused of overspending salary lines were actually overtime that actually was not reclassed in the audited system, and the evidence is in the books. You could just look at it. So that's one example. The council's free to go through it. You all have access, as we always have, to Munis. This is a big deal. And it's also not something I'm knocking the controller's office for. One of the things I spoke about when I became mayor was the fact that this city was literally cut to a level of dysfunction. The controller's office has been functioning for years with a part-time auditor. That part-time auditor also has been taking a lot of time because it is their right to take that time. The reality is we need to start doing more auditing and accounting in the controller's office, and it's a manpower thing. It's not anyone's fault that this happens, but the reality is something very real is in the closed books, exemplifying exactly why those salary lines were over, and it's because no one bothered to perform the reclass entries, taking the overtime out of those salary lines. So that's that. The next one's a lot bigger of analysis. That's the one you guys are going to get a giant spreadsheet on. This is going to be the budget director and I going through this. I'm going to start with the analysis of actual overtime. Now, I did send an email back to the council as a whole because they were going back and forth with this about the fact that I overspent. Before the ice storm last Friday, the Common Council was going back and forth about the fact that we overspent these overtime lines, et cetera. So I sent an email back and said, okay, well, if we want to cut overtime, as a mayor, am I supposed to say they can't go out and salt tonight? When we had 2 working fires that were absolutely insane, am I not supposed to allow firefighters to come back and call back? If there's crimes, are we not supposed to be able to fight those crimes and actually perform the investigations we're supposed to perform? Now, what you're going to see when I go through this, all the way back from fiscal year 23, is that 1, we can account for every penny. 2, the only reason it looks like in the public discourse we actually overspent overtime is because someone wants to only tell people about the expense lines. They don't want to talk about the actual revenue that comes in, so I'm going to go through every little last bit of that. The other thing that's interesting is police special services. Captain Basner, 2023, we did not have police officers working for the city in the schools. They were working directly for the schools, correct?
Correct.
So none of that money in the 2023 fiscal year budget existed in the budget and revenue or expense lines, correct? Right?
Yes.
All right, cool. So 2023 original budget, if you add up all the overtime lines, the entire budget, it's $1.5 million. Okay, it's 1.496. I'm just rounding up a little, right? If you look at the actuals at the end of 2023, it was $1.53 million. Now, what's interesting, if you go back to 2023, 2 years before I was mayor, the revised budget for some weird reason was $1.9 million. Almir and I can't quite figure that one out yet, but we weren't the budget director or the mayor at that point. But the point is, we had $1.5 million budgeted, and before police special services was on the books of the revenue expense side, yeah, of course we came in at about 1.5 for what was budgeted. Now, here's what's interesting. Before I move on, I want to note something, okay? In 2023, that budget started April 1st, 2022, we budgeted for $1.5 million in overtime. Fast forward to the 2025 budget, my first budget, the overtime lines were cut down to a total of $1.2 million. Now, I've got a question for the council that's rhetorical. How is it that you put a budget together in 2022 and put $1.5 million for the number for overtime, but then fast forward to my first budget in 2025, you're going to cut it to $1.2 million and expect that even if the same hours were used, it was going to work? Because guess what? Over the course of that 3 years, we settled the fire contract. Okay, well-deserved raises, absolutely, but guess what? That overtime that they're working right now, whether straight time or overtime on a mandated callback, is now going to be 14.5% higher. That's just math. Same thing with the police department. Received multiple raises over the course of that time. So, when we want to talk about how we're going to actually fund essential services like callbacks for working fires, callbacks when we have pending storms, and we actually go over the minimum manning, which, by the way, the chief does do quite a bit. It's in the actual annual report from 2025. DPW, police, we had an officer involved in shooting in that year. What are you gonna do, just say, don't come in? That's not possible. Well, that's what the council asked for. Just don't come in. Don't come in, right? So 1.2 versus 1.5 back in 2022. Makes no sense. So now I'm gonna walk forward and explain it. And this is all audited numbers. You all participated in the audit on Friday, right? All right, so fast forward to the 2024 budget. This is what's key. That's when the police started working in the schools for us, which means if you don't explain the revenue coming in from when we build a school, when you talk about the expense of police special services, you're effectively misleading people into thinking you're overspending. So, 2024 original budget, $1.5 million. Guess what? All of a sudden, special services are in the budget, overtime actual, $2.13 million. Oh, that's weird, right? So now we're gonna go to 2025, the budget in question. $1.2 million budgeted, and I have to say, I just mentioned the fact that we budgeted $300,000 less in 25 than we did in 22 for overtime. Makes no sense, but we did. The 2025 revised budget for overtime and the actual were both around 2.7 million, okay? The actual was 2.6. You do a difference on that, it's $1.5 million. Now initially, because I run these numbers all the time, that's part of the reason I couldn't make heads or tails of what Councilperson Ayala was accusing us of, because she kept saying $2.1 million. So, hey, there's $2.1 million over and over and over again, email after email. Well, when we do the numbers, the difference between original and actual, out of our audited, closed books, numbers and units was only 1.497 million. So I was like, all right, we got to figure this out. So we spent a few days trying to figure out if we made a mistake. The reality is we didn't. Nor did the controller's office, by the way. So I'm going to account for that now, generally. And then when I'm done accounting for every penny of that $1.5 million, exemplifying the fact that I did not authorize crazy overtime with people sitting in vans, that I didn't overspend. What's that?
Is that just the overtime line?
Yeah, it's overtime.
Just overtime, not the salary, social
Right.
security? or
So,
any of the other different-
all right. So first of all, I have the floor. Thank you.
Thank you. I just wanted to
I
make sure I'm
appreciate it.
all-
And if you'd like to ask the controller's office to audit all the journal entries for you, you could look and find the rest.
I just didn't know we were talking
That's-
about all the lines or
yes,
just the one?
all of the overtime lines, the
Just
whole
overtime.
bunch. Yep.
Just overtime lines, not any of the other salaries? or-
Correct, right, which accounts for $1.4 million in the quote overspending you're talking about, but it wasn't overspending. Police special services, $1 million. Okay, so now we're working with about $497,000 left. Okay, if you account for what came in on the revenue and account for what was expended on the expense, that is not something you budget for, nor is it something you call an overspend at the end of the year. If the school district contracts $1 million worth of services, we're gonna bring that revenue in, and the actual, at the end of the year, the revised budget will be $1 million more at the end of the year. It's how budgeting works. Parks, okay, now this one was actually an overage. Now, I will note that what was cut last year, the actual part-time parks employees to actually cover for the actual park services, cleaning up parks, that was cut out of the budget. So that accounts for $157,000. Parks and then playgrounds, $56,000. You can jump in for a second. When were those peaks that parks had to actually run over on overtime?
June through August and January through February.
Okay, so pools,
Pools and
right?
snow maintenance.
Pools, and then we've got actual clearing of sidewalks, plowing, making sure our thoroughfares are clear on the intersections. So effectively what I'm getting at here is if we didn't spend that overtime, sidewalks would not be cleared, okay? Sidewalks would not be cleared, and the pools wouldn't have been open. All right, fire line, in case you guys want to hear this one, right? Okay, $188,000. Okay, we're down to 152. Again, that is literally accounting for the fact that we bring people in during times of need above minimum staffing and have to do mandatory callbacks when there's working fires and every other single thing in the fire line that requires overtime. The last thing is demos. $80,000. Again, if you look at demos, there was contracted services. We did demos in, I believe, Waterville, there's all different, Herkimer, all over the place. Now, I basically stopped when I got down to accounting for $14,900 of the $1.5 million in quote, overspending. The reality is, it wasn't overspending, and if we were responsible enough to go into the public and talk about the revenue that came in to fund these actuals that were adjusted based on the revenue, Albany wouldn't be asking us if we actually need the $3.8 million that I spent 2 years fighting to get this city. Okay? It's completely ridiculous. Elmira, I want you to go through the giant spreadsheet that they're all going to get that's exported out of Munich, please.
So when I look at the whole budget in its entirety, there's going to be staffing changes, there's going to be staff and employees positions that are not filled. Usually things like that do lead to overtime when an employee has to take on the extra work. Some of the things I will not mention, for example, is when we hired a purchasing agent, the person who was doing the job before was still being paid the stipend to train the new person. So I won't mention things like that. One thing I want to mention is the engineering salaries. Over the course of a few years, the entire, I think it's 5 engineer employees who primarily see paving during the summertime, was getting paid their full salary for the full year in the paving using bonded money and CHIPS money. We've had several conversations with outside sources, and we learned that it's illegal to pay an employee's salary that's not directly doing any work related to paving. So in the wintertime when they're working on a different project, you can't pay their salary using the CHIPS money. That's why you see a $100,000 overage there. The IT salaries, we're paying an outside contractor $200,000 a year to basically just do a couple odds and ends items here and there. And we made the decision to get away from doing that, hire 2 employees. You see an overage in 2025, but those savings are reflected in the current budget year.
And covered by appropriate transfers, by the way.
Yeah.
The money was not overspent. We accounted for every bit of this.
I'll get to that.
Through that. Thank you.
Some of the items that we can't budget for because sometimes you guys don't allow us to is when there's vacation payouts. If an employee, for example, a sergeant, lieutenant, police officer, changes any type of different position, they're owed any time paid on, right? We don't budget for that.
So
We
let me
also-
jump in with you on that.
Yeah.
How much was that? What did that account for? It wasn't small.
This specific one was $7 grand.
$7 grand.
$7 grand.
What was the total across the board in 2025?
For what exactly?
All of the holiday pay, all of the buyouts for retirees, all of that. What was the number? How many hundreds of thousands of dollars?
I do believe it's $200,000 to $300,000 altogether.
Now, the reason I'm jumping in on this is for 2 years, certain council people in this room for 10 years, when I was council president, have been discussing the fact that you cannot assume that the salary line is the exact same amount as the table of organization. And every time we try to rationalize that, we say we have to account for retirements, payouts, holiday pay, etc. And I'm not talking about the holiday pay that's in the budget. I'm talking about the things when people retire. The reality is we consumed between $200,000 and $300,000 of that in the actual audited report we went through. And by the way, the budget director and I just did a full audit on this ourselves. We're also going to be requesting tomorrow, in grave detail, an equivalent audit going from 2023 till now from the controller's office.
Some of the things that were not budgeted for that are primarily affecting the police and fire departments are retirees. They vary a little bit, but it's on average $45,000 per retiree. That's not budgeted for, and I believe in maybe you guys can,
We try to budget for it.
I think it was 8 altogether retirees that were not accounted for in the budget. The police special services line, one thing when I was doing my research, from 2022, the police special services overtime line was funded $225,000. That's worth of expenses. From 2022 to 2025, the budget was dropped to 0. At the same time, the revenue increased $900,000. So that's directly translated to the additional overtime done by the police department at the schools. And when those officers do that, other officers sometimes even have to fill the work that they can't do at the time.
You know, the other thing that we haven't mentioned yet as well, for example, is GIV, the gun intervention, okay? So, same thing. If we get $500,000 of funding to run those shifts, we're gonna run those shifts. When we run those shifts, there's overtime lines. We do not account for all of the overtime that in an expense line that we're going to perform under those give shifts as well. This all adds up. And if you don't look at the revenue and the expense, you're going to both mislead yourselves and the public.
The fire line. One thing that the chief mentioned at the last meeting, and we had a very extensive conversation on this, partially it's due to misposting of the payroll journal entry, so that's why you see salary overages. It should be overtime overages. And one thing that I realized is, you know, when an ambulance is at the hospital and the hospital is full, they can't accept any more patients, the ambulance is required to take care of that patient. That translates into overtime, and also this year I'm seeing an increase in supplies used to take care of that patient.
And the other problem we're going to have, and we're going to run into, we projected our revenue for EMS to grow with how it's been growing based on the increases in the Medicare payouts we've been tracking. Unfortunately, due to the issues at WIN, we're very concerned that that line is going to be waning this year, and we can't count on it being anywhere near the $3.4 to $3.8 million we've been used to, because the longer those ambulances sit, the longer they can't take calls. So if an ambulance is there for between 1 and 3 hours, or all 2 or 3 of our ambulances are there for 2 to 3 hours, we're literally not performing EMS services. That means the people are less safe, and the revenue you're projecting in the budget won't be there when we need it. Moving on.
So Mayor, I don't mean to interrupt, but can we cut to the chase here? Like, what is the point in you trying to say,
The point
like,
is we're gonna
what's
count
actually
those.
going on?
Yeah, so go through a
So,
few
I mean,
more.
go through your
Yeah.
email
Go
and kind of
through a few more.
explain what the actual issue that we're running into and why we're running into this issue and why it needs to be
No,
explained.
so
The issue is, well,
we're going to keep going. Just keep going. We'll only take 5 more minutes of your time.
Thank you.
No, it's not, I have no problem with you coming to explain. We went through 12 years of the previous mayor not coming to explain a lot of the things that went on, which why we ran into the problems that we're running in now.
The reason we're going through this with a fine-tooth comb is 2 reasons. One, Almir and I absolutely know what we're doing. And at the last council meeting, I did not appreciate the fact that people were insinuating he did not. It's clear we do. The second thing is, when we're asked 154 questions in an email in a row, and I'm obviously exaggerating, we take time to answer them appropriately. I'm demonstrating to you that these have been answered appropriately, and it's completely dispelled the fact that we've been accused of overspending, misappropriating funds, acknowledging and authorizing extra overtime. The only thing we've done is run this city and make sure the essential services exist. Is there anything else you want to hit on in particular? Because I want to move on to the healthcare.
not anything specific, but I just want to say, as everyone saw in the audit, we didn't overspend in the budget line. We
At all.
underspent by $1.6 million.
Are you sure?
No, there was
You
that.
bet your life
No,
on it.
that page that they said that the overages. Elmir, which page are you talking about, though?
All right,
Because the
so-
audit does actually
No,
reflect
no,
that we
so,
did.
Elmir, hang on a second. Hold your thought. We have the floor, and I'm gonna answer.
Yes, this is also our council chambers, and you are a guest here, and that, thank you for this, but I just, if he's gonna speak on it, I'm just curious where we're going with this.
I have the
You'll
floor.
get your
You
That's
absolutely do.
Robert's rules. So, Elmir and I are trying to go through this because you've asked a lot of painstaking questions via email.
And I've gotten no
You've accused
answers.
us-
I've had 0 answers, so please continue.
You've accused us through videos and on the radio. Now, regarding the overspending and what Councilperson Testa brought up, which we also had the floor, that's why I was trying to cut you off as well. I apologize, but I'm trying to cut to the chase here, right? So, if you plan on having a deficit coming out of the fund balance of $2.5 million, and you end up with $880,000, which is what the audit showed, we did not overspend. If you would like to make believe that all of the same things I just went through, which add to the revised budget, which will bring a $93 million budget up to $95 million, and literally make believe you could only pay attention to the revised budget numbers while ignoring the revenue that came into the budget, which was appropriately brought in as a revenue to account for the extra expense, you again are misleading yourselves and the public. So, Elmir, can you continue? Because I do want to get to the health.
Yourself, not selves.
Guys.
Clarify, please.
Let the mayor finish up, and council members will have the opportunity to speak.
All right.
I just want to end by saying, throughout the budget year, like the mayor said, we have I prepare a big spreadsheet and I update it every month, and I look at all the actuals. I look at the revenue and I look at the expenses. No decision is made without actually verifying that it's possible to do this. Now, granted, most of this overtime is either contractually obligated overtime that you can't say no to, regardless. Or it's something, for example, the pools, we had a hot summer, you can't chlorinate the pools during the day when people are swimming. You gotta have somebody come overnight to check the systems to make sure everything is good for the next day. Sometimes you gotta come twice a night if it's really hot.
We actually tried to call him on that one, but we had to let him do it.
So it's, there's no overtime here that's not justified. There's no salaries that were paid that weren't authorized. And that's why I wanted to bring this to everyone's attention, that the salary line is over because overtime is being inaccurately accounted for.
Are you responsible for accounting for that?
No,
Am I responsible for accounting for that?
no.
So why are we being accused of not accounting for that?
I don't know, but I
Would
spent
you
the
like me to
last,
answer?
I spent the last
All
6
right.
days,
Just throwing
including the
it out there.
weekend,
All right.
doing all this.
Okay. All right, anything else?
No.
All right, let's move on to the health cap. All right. So, I understand that this is taking a long time, but $93 million is nothing to be quick about, and I've spent, I don't know, probably 100 times more than I'm spending right here, right now, explaining to you, preparing this, to actually answer all these questions. All right. Oh, you got locked out. All right. If you go to this 2-page packet, I'm going to explain how we budget for healthcare. I'm also going to explain a little bit about our self-insurance policy. What I'm going to go through is the fact that we are not arbitrarily putting numbers in the budget. The other thing I'm going to point out is that, in fact, we typically, Elmir and I, and in my first year it was just me, budget a little bit less than what the actuary firm, Wakely, proposes. Now, if you go to the budget projections for City of Utica by plan, you'll see 24-25, that was my first year. You'll see 4-1-25-26, that's the year we're in. And you'll see 26-27, the one we're currently budgeting for. Now, you see AFS, that's Adirondack Financial Services. You see Excelis.
I'm sorry, can you just repeat the year that you're?
Well, I'm going to reference the
I know, but which
25.
one were you talking, 24,
Well, there's 3 of them.
25? Yeah,
There's
no,
3
I
of them.
saw that. I just
Right.
didn't know which one you were starting at.
I'm starting with 25.
Okay.
Because that's the one that was mentioned on the radio that we over budgeted for. Okay. All right, so here's how, when you're running your own self-insurance policy, you set your premium equivalents. It's a risk-based analysis based on prior projections of the actual people within your policies. Now, Before I was the mayor, there was only 2 lines in here, AFS and Excelis. We were relying on our broker, and we were relying on Excelis to tell us how much we should budget for the actual premium equivalent. Now, I decided in 2025 that since we're spending 13 million some odd dollars on healthcare, I should bring in a third-party actuary firm called Wakely to actually do an analysis on this, so I could get it from someone else that wasn't the actual Excelis, Blue Cross Blue Shield, which we're renting the network from, and it wasn't AFS. They actually recommended it be a little higher, so what I ended up doing was starting to blend those, because now I have 3 opinions. We can take 3 opinions and actually budget for the premium equivalent. Now, premium equivalent, when you budget for that, when you're running your own self-insurance policy, you're paying all the bills. You want to target the premium equivalent as recommended by the actual risk analysis firm who's telling you what the probable cost is going to be for the people within your actual care and your insurance policy. The reality is, if you budget for 13 million, you might be at 14, you might be at 12, but you have to budget for the probable risk. And that is how we budget for healthcare. It's not us saying, hey, we spent 12 last year, maybe we can get away with a little less. Now go to that first page. The first page is the important one. Teamsters Health is separate from City NU, which is non-union, CSEA, Police and Fire. The reason I noted that is you have to look at the without Teamsters. Now, I did, as a mayor, take a big risk in my first budget. I only budgeted $12 million for our self-insurance that year because we had to raise taxes quite a bit and I came under a lot of fire. What you'll see is the actuary firm recommended $13.3 million. But I only budgeted $12 million. So the fact that I was just accused of over budgeting for healthcare when I budgeted $12 million is a bit crazy.
Mr. President?
Yep.
So,
Right.
Yeah, can I have the floor? Can I have the floor for? Can I have the floor?
No, we're gonna have the.
No, let me rip through this.
Council's
Then you
gonna
guys
have
can
the time.
So, here's my point. This is real. We're running our own insurance coverage, and we're depending on 3 independent analyses to actually figure out how much we have to budget for. What you'll look at is over the years, we typically, the budget director and I, decide to budget for just a little bit less than what we need as in accordance with what AFS, Excelis, and the actuary firm are calling for. What you'll see in this year's budget, you'll see 14 million. The actuary firm at a 7.5% margin. I picked the cheaper one so that actually we don't have to raise rates as much this year. Everyone was actually on their policies. I picked the lower rate structure, and they recommended 14.7. In the budget, it's 14 million. So what we're basically saying is, hopefully we'll use the emergency room less, go to primary care doctors more, and hopefully we'll have a healthy year. But when you run your own insurance policy, if we end up over, you end up either having to garner that from all of the other accounts that aren't overspent and still have money left in them, or in a worst case scenario, when you're running your own self-insurance fund, that overage, if it happens, okay, ends up hitting the fund. It hasn't happened yet. We've been lucky. Part of the reason, if you go through, and what I would suggest to the council is have AFS come in and explain all this, have Excelis come in and explain all this. You'll see stop loss that protects us against, someone unfortunately obtaining a terminal illness, like a firefighter, for example, and they don't end up on 207, for example. Let's say they're not on 207 yet, they might get that stop loss, so we have an insurance policy against those claims because they could run into the millions, right? The administrative costs, that's actually renting the Blue Cross network. If we weren't running our own self-insurance, the administration costs would be vastly higher. That is a total of all the administration costs added up based on all the billings that happen. So that's how that works. It's not an arbitrary number. I'm not over budgeting, nor were we over budgeting. The only thing I do want to end on before some budget questions is the fact that, here is my notepad. Let's see. You mentioned the engineering. You went through it. And we talked about playgrounds and tools. So we're good. So if you guys don't have any questions, what I wanted to leave off on was the fact that I will be providing another resolution that reiterates why we support the AIM increase. Because unfortunately, because of all these accusations, I had to meet an assembly person Sunday and had to have them tell me Albany is questioning whether Utica really needs that money, because they see all the videos, and they see all the press, and they see the social media, and they heard the radio interviews accusing the mayor of overspending. I'm demonstrating that we weren't. I'm demonstrating that we're fiscal stewards. I'm demonstrating that we weren't over budgeting for healthcare, and I've gone through and iterated all this, and I'm gonna give it all to you tomorrow. And like I said, the auditors are in the controller's office. I'm gonna be requesting all of those audits that replicate everything Elmira and I do on everyone's behalf from the controller's office. So that's how I wanted to leave that up. If anyone has any other further budget questions, I truly hope that if we do keep that $3.8 million, we use it responsibly.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you.
We'll go to report of city officers. We'll start with Fire Chief Angersall.
Yeah, I have a letter to address the council.
Yeah, please, I'm sorry.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was on a clear tangent.
Council, I just, you guys have all received a copy of this letter earlier. Honorable members of the Common Council, writing to address recent remarks made during the city's budget review concerning the fire department's request to purchase PFAS-free turnout gear and to advance long-planned fire station renovations and replacements. These initiatives are not discretionary upgrades, nor are they matters of convenience. They are evidence-based occupational health measures intended to reduce firefighters' exposure to carcinogens and to align our facilities and equipment with modern safety standards. Firefighter is obviously, it's an inherently dangerous profession, but the greatest threat today to firefighters is no longer the immediate hazards of flame and collapse. It's occupational cancer. Multiple national firefighter health studies concluded over decades have demonstrated that firefighters experience significantly higher rates of certain cancers compared to the general population. These include elevated incidences of cancers of the respiratory system, digestive system, kidneys, and blood-forming organs. Firefighters are repeatedly exposed to toxic combustion byproducts such as benzene, formaldehyde, polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons, and other known carcinogens. These contaminants are absorbed through inhalation, ingestion, and critically through the skin. In recent years, additional concern is focused on PFAS, which is per and polyfluoroalkyl substances historically used in the moisture barrier components of turnout gear. These forever chemicals have been associated with increased cancer risk and do not readily break down in the human body or environment. Firefighters wear this gear for thousands of hours across a career. Transitioning to PFAS-free protective ensembles is a proactive step to reducing cumulative exposure while still maintaining the thermal protection necessary to survive a hostile fire environment, such as the one that firefighters experienced a short time ago on Bleecker Street. Equally important is where firefighters return after a fire. Utica's fire stations were constructed generations ago. Long before the fire service understood the dangers of cross-contamination, these facilities lacked the design features now recognized as essential to reduce an occupational cancer risk, including the separation of clean and dirty zones to prevent carcinogens from migrating into living quarters, dedicated decontamination areas for personnel and equipment returning from fires, ventilated gear storage that allows contaminated PPE to off-gas away from firefighters, modern air handling systems designed to limit the recirculation of hazardous particulates. Without these protections, firefighters can be exposed to toxic residues long after an emergency incident has ended, while eating meals, completing reports, or attempting to rest between calls. This is absolutely not theoretical. Across the fire service, cancer has become the leading cause of line of duty death. Nearly every fire department in this country, including our own, has members battling cancer who have faced it during or after their careers. These are individuals who have accepted the risk of emergency response. They did not knowingly accept preventable chronic exposure inside their own firehouse or from equipment we now have the ability to improve on. The requested investments are aligned with national best practice standards in firefighter health and safety. They are supported by evolving building design standards, occupational health research, and recommendations from fire service organizations dedicated to reducing line-of-duty illness and death. Modern turnout gear and properly designed stations do not eliminate the risk that these firefighters face, but they materially reduce it. They represent the difference between acknowledging a knowing hazard and acting responsibly to mitigate that hazard. The fire department is committed to protecting this community with professionalism and dedication. We ask the same commitment in protecting the men and women who perform that mission every day. These improvements are not about comfort. They're not about putting a name on a building. They're about cancer prevention. They're about responsible governance. They are about ensuring that those who serve the public are not unnecessarily placed at risk by outdated infrastructure or legacy materials. Again, I'm going to welcome the opportunity to provide additional information, data, facility assessments, tours. As you continue deliberations, I'm open for questions. You just got to pick up the phone. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Our Budget Director, Almer Kaltak.
Before he moves on, I'd like to note that that letter is co-signed by both the chief and myself. That's something we both feel very strongly about, and that's all we should be thinking about. The fact that this chief cares about the people that fight fires in this city. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Nothing to report.
Thank you. Our DPW Commissioner, Mark Sokolowski.
Just two things. Number one, we're gonna start blacktopping hopefully soon, and it's gonna be 60 over the weekend, so hopefully that white stuff outside finally melts. That's all I got.
Thank you. Brian Thomas, Urban Renewal.
Nothing to report.
The Mayor's Chief of Staff, Becky Duval.
I'm all set.
Mayor.
I'm good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Got about another 35 minutes if you need it.
From the Police Department, Captain Brian Besner.
I'm all set.
Thank you, Captain. City Engineer, Nick Breinenbecker.
Nothing to report.
Thank you.
I do have one quick thing. It's like you said.
I yield my
Yeah.
time.
No, I want to acknowledge the fact that there's people in this room, other than me and Elmir, that understand this budget. Some of them sit among the council desks. So I hope that as you go through this budget and have your special meetings to figure out what you're doing to work together, because there are people that surround me right now who can do exactly what Elmir and I just did, and one of them is Samantha Colosimo testing. So I hope people listen to the fact that there's a lot of experience sitting here, and if you don't account for things appropriately, you can accidentally defund things and turn out the lights. All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks.
Cash report? No cash report. Petitions, remonstrances, and appeals. First District Council Member, Katie Isle.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Mayor, for coming here and speaking, and Budget Director. I put this email out to everybody 16 days ago, continuously waited for a response. Still am waiting for all the numbers and answers, because one thing that was addressed here tonight was, I think one of the numbers was thrown around was 1.4 million, and I'm sorry for interrupting when I did, but it's because you were zeroing in on just an overtime line. And something I've been addressing repeatedly is every payroll expenditure that exceeded the lines. That's where my totals came from. We're talking salaries, wages, overtime, others, Social Security. And so that's why I'm really looking forward to seeing this.
Go through the journal entries.
No, Mayor, and you want to know why you're being
No,
held accountable with
I'm
this?
being
It's-
very serious. You'll get it all. Go
Mayor,
through the journal entries.
I ask such a simple question. If anybody wants to know why I make posts or push, it's because I ask and we get nowhere until we make it public. I wish it didn't come to that either, but here we are. So one other thing I want to address, police special services. Nobody sat on this floor and advocated more to put every penny that we're about to get into the budget. If we're going to get revenue, good, put it in the budget. If we're going to have an expense, put it in the budget. So when this body voted to have only $300,000 in police special services that we were expecting, even though I came in here with checks showing you it was way more than that, now you come to me and say, oh no, it's all police special services. So which is it? Aside from that, one of the other funny parts I think is, okay, you think you came in under budget technically because you didn't use all your fund balance. We had 800,000 left. By this logic, I don't want to hear anybody in this room ever again say we overspent on ARPA. The auditor sat here and said we have $4 million left on ARPA. Sure, some projects went high, some went low, but we didn't overspend that. So let's keep that in mind. But yeah, I think there's a lot to go through. I'm looking forward to this. Same way I'm repeatedly asking for the paving expenses for the last 2 years. And if I can just get those numbers, I'm not out to get you, I'm just out to help the city. And I just want to work on that, but you keep waiting until these moments. And then we aren't even prepared when you come in here for these impromptu meetings. But yeah, other than that, the reason I'm asking the mayor's office is because when I asked what the overtime was for all of these salaries, and when I say overtime, I mean salaries, wages, everything, all the overages, there was no answer. That led me to believe it wasn't being tracked. And I don't know how you can say we didn't overspend anything when this council had to make a transfer of $4.8 million in July 2025. We had the money in the other parts of the budget, but there were lines that were well overspent.
2025 for what?
You tell me. It was about 250 lines to 11 lines.
What's the 4.8?
And it was one, and that's the point of this. We might need the money. These $2 million might be justified, but I'll never know because nobody came to us to request the approvals in real time. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, council member. Second District Council Member Robert Burmaster.
Thank you, Mr. President. I want to thank everybody for coming tonight. It was a good thing that you see everybody's got the interest of the city, and so do we. I do appreciate you coming, and your input means a lot. And next, I think it's next Wednesday, we have a West Utica Neighborhood Association meeting. We're hoping to go through the budget, but we're not completely done with it yet, as you know. And thank your mayor for coming in and trying to show us the light. I guess that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, council member. Third District Council Member Joseph Bitar, President Pro Tem, Committee of Whole, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. President. My mic seems to be out tonight. To everyone who filled the room tonight, to everyone who participated in public comment, Union President Mark, thank you. Thank you to everyone else who spoke. So last week we met several times with each department, several times throughout the week, talking about this budget, meeting with the departments, discussing the needs of the departments. Now looking ahead, we'll likely schedule a few special meetings to introduce and discuss budget amendments, talk about the needs further of each department. And I encourage the members of the public to continue to come to these meetings because it is important. And to finish, just on a lighter note, the monthly South Utica Neighborhood Association meeting is going to be March 9th. That's Monday at 6 p.m. Otherwise, again, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, council member. Fourth District Council Member Frank Kirkone.
Yes. When I hear everybody say the council, I guess I am part of the council, but I don't agree with a lot of things. And you will never hear me say DPW, the police, or the firemen are overspending or need more, because they do need more. DPW's got way more parks to take care of, way less people. They didn't have the summer help. The firemen are getting stuck at the hospital for ambulance. The police have more retirement. You heard what I said last week about the police. 4 years down the road, you're not going to have to worry about their budget because you're not going to have enough police. And anybody that questions any of their needs should think really twice about it when they go through the budget. Let's look at their needs. And also, last Friday, we had a budget meeting, and Mr. Evans came in. And I thought he did a great job of making it pretty simple to understand that we were sort of going in the right direction with our finances. And let's hope we can keep doing that. I was impressed with his. I hope everybody that was watching listened to him, because he made it simple that people that don't understand a lot, like the budget, like Samantha and whoever else thinks they do, I would say that he made it very easy to say that we were going in the right direction. But if you're ready to do this budget and you want to start cutting DPW, firemen, and policemen, please think twice to their needs, and think them over very carefully, because they're very important, and down the road, we're gonna be short on all of them. And that's not fiction, that's not fiction. You can see the recruits they're getting, are not getting any lateral transfers from any other police departments, and we're gonna be hurt. And people are gonna be, then you're gonna be scurrying. You're not gonna be worrying about a budget. You're gonna be worrying about safety. That's all.
Thank you, Councilmember. 5th District Councilmember Venice Irvin.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. And you had opportunity tonight for the second year in a row, because Mayor Galimi came last year when there was questions and did a PowerPoint and explained some things, and he did it again this year. So anybody that came from the general public got an idea of what he's talking about and what he's doing, because there are a lot of questions out in the community over the last couple of years. So you might have got some answers tonight. I think he has opened door policy for most people, so if you need to talk to him, there he is. I'm opening up the door for you. And I'm pretty sure he'll let you in, hopefully. Thank you, Mark Sokolowski. You got the signs up over by Head Start up on South Street. Those were up. And people are actually slowing down because that was a big worry of the staff over there. And going through the budget process is tough. I've been looking at budgets for a long time at Community Action, but looking at a city budget is entirely different. So people need to know that, you know, even if you're in an organization, you know, that what you're doing in your organization is entirely different when you're doing it on a city or county level, because there's a lot more things and a lot more people involved. So, but I thank everybody for coming tonight, all the comments that were made, and thank you. I'm done.
Thank you, Councilmember. Councilmember at Large, Heather Wazlewski.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for coming out tonight. This is going into my 3rd month of being on the council, and I've had the opportunity to really get to know the fire department more. I've had great conversations with Mark. I've started visiting some of the firehouses, the academy, and I'm learning a lot. And I appreciate you guys coming and speaking today, and know that you definitely have my support. Moving on, DPW, thank you, Mark, for always answering my calls when things happen. Literally, I'll call him, and then 5 minutes later, I have taken care of. So thank you for that lately. I do appreciate that. Mr. Nazar, Brasner, sorry. I'm so bad with names. Work with me. I would love if, I will love if you could give us a monthly statement when it comes out of like calls that you get and things like that, just so we have an understanding of things.
I mean, I could tell you.
That would be great for like.
We had 3,970 incidents we responded to from February 1st to March 1st.
Thank you.
And 354 parking tickets we issued last month.
I was one of them. Okay.
But
So.
I'd be happy to provide any other information.
I don't know, I haven't gone in yet. A second. Okay, so with thank you so much for that. And that's all I have for tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember at Large, Minority Leader Samantha Collis-Maltesta.
Thank you, Mr. President. A couple of things I just want to know. Thank you for the fire department coming in and speaking tonight. I know it's not an easy situation to come in and speak your feelings. It is definitely something that touches home with me. With that said, I wanted to move on. In regards to the budget discussions tonight with Mayor, there was a couple of things that I wanted to point out. I think that you had mentioned that the Common Council has cut budget lines, and one of the things that we're tasked with, I think, is cutting budget lines for the sake of cutting the budget to try and lower the tax increase. And sometimes it's a game of chance. And one of the things, and I go through previous budget cuts, and I noticed that some members presented budget cuts to the tune of $1.2 million out of a healthcare line. And sometimes we get looked at and we get thrown under the bus saying, oh, it's just politics, it's opposite. I think looking at your numbers now, if you were to take $1.2 million, that we would be $1.2 million just on healthcare alone, short of what that was. So while some people might look at us and say, hey, you could have cut that an extra 1.2 million, or, sometimes you have to be fiscally responsible in the things that you do. And, we've taken hits and I say we, those that voted for not cutting those healthcare lines, really did. So that's all I want to say to the rest of the council is really, be cognizant of the fact of what you do cut. Because although overtime lines, we cut $30,000 to $40,000 per budget line, $1.2 million and $250,000 out of salary lines are really detrimental to the city in each department. That's all I got. Thank you.
Thank you,
Mr. President.
Councilmember. Councilmember at large, Jack Lemenico.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank
And
you.
I'd like to thank the members of the fire department coming today. Appreciate your input, as well as everybody else. One of the things I am going to be looking at in this budget here is the safety gear for the fire department. Right now, the chief had requested $175,000, and the mayor reduced it by $75,000 to $100,000. I'll be looking to increase that through an amendment this year, so we could provide the fire department with more turnout gear. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember. Okay, I have a motion and a second to introduce proposed resolution number 1.
Motion.
Second. Resolution authorizing adjustment to the 2025-26 solid waste service charge, whereas said local law further provides that where an application involves the request for a refund plus interest or modification of the solid waste service charge after the bill for the same has been sent, such application must be approved or disapproved by the Common Council. Whereas the following applications have been made by Josh Olbreys, Executive Director for the Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Management Authority, acting agent for the City of Utica, has reviewed same and recommended approval thereof. Now therefore be it resolved, the Common Council of the City of Utica hereby approves the applications for adjustment to the City of Utica Solid Waste Service charge for the fiscal year 2025-26 as follows. Your votes, please.
Sorry. Thumbs up. 8 yeas adopted.
Go sit in Beatrice's chair.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to place proposed ordinance number 2 into committee.
Motion.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Commit.
Mr. President, so I just want to reiterate for number 2 and number 3, the contingency fund is going to come with additional amendments for the simple fact that if the council chooses to lower the tax increase to 0%, that we also have to follow up with the property tax increase component of that. So you might see the general fund contingency adjust a little bit. I just wanted to give the council a heads up that that could be a possibility. And one person that gets failed to mention, and he just looked at me, Brian Thomas. You sit at all these meetings and you just get overlooked sometimes. So I just wanted to say thank you for coming to all these meetings and sitting there. So appreciate it.
Like this tie?
Yeah. Motion and second to place proposed ordinance number 3 into committee.
Motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Anyone opposed? Commit. Motion and second to introduce proposed ordinance number 4.
Motion.
Second.
Yep. Authorizing fence permit, be it ordained that the Department of Codes Enforcement is hereby authorized to grant a permit to the owner of 811 Court Street to erect an 8-foot fence along the surveyed property lines. Votes, please.
8 yeas adopted.
Okay, I have a motion and a second to introduce proposed ordinance number 5.
Motion.
An ordinance
Mr. President,
Oh, yes.
I apologize if I may make a brief motion to amend last be it ordained sentence currently reads period of 30 days months. Just move to strike months.
Second. Votes on the amendment.
Votes on the amendment.
Eight yeas to amend.
Ordinance extending moratorium on battery storage facilities in the city of Utica. Current zoning law is silent on battery storage facilities within the city, whereas new questions have arisen regarding the installation, operation, maintenance, and decommissioning of such entities and the potential impacts on public health and safety. Whereas it has been determined that the locations of battery storage facilities require further study to consider the potential public health and safety impacts that necessitates that a moratorium be enacted that would halt the approval of such entities for a period of time to allow for a study to be conducted. Be ordained the Commissioner of Urban and Economic Development, the Planning Board, the Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Codes, and any other appropriate city agency should not issue any permission, permit, variance, or other approval for the development and or establishment of any battery storage facility for an additional period of 30 days concluding on April 1st, 2026. Your votes, please.
It is adopted.
Motion and second to introduce proposed ordinance number 6.
Motion.
Thank you.
An ordinance extending moratorium on billboards in the city of Utica. Whereas the city of Utica is in the process of a comprehensive review and possible revision of its zoning code as it relates to the location, mechanisms for evaluation of billboards, whereas the city wishes to preserve to the extent possible the current status of billboards located within the city pending final review and possible revisions such that necessitates a moratorium be enacted that would halt the approval of such entities for a period of time. Whereas the moratorium does not apply to any application, permits, or permission to construct a billboard that were previously granted before August 27, 2025. Be it ordained that the Commissioner of Urban and Economic Development, the Planning Board, Zoning Board of Appeals, Department of Codes, and any other appropriate city agency should not issue any permission, permit, variance, or other approval for the construction and or establishment of any billboards regardless of current zoning classifications for a period of 30 days, including April 1st, 2026. Votes, please.
8 yeas adopted.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I hate to do this with ordinances 7, 8, 9, and 10, but it says the Common Council approved E&A approved annual estimate. These should be transfers. Am I incorrect in saying so?
It's the budget amendments.
Oh, so they're budget amendments?
Yeah.
Even though they say E&A? Okay, so this isn't from the Board of E&A, like it says at the top left?
We went through this last year too. Yeah, it is the E&A approved annual estimate is the title of the budget amendments.
Right, but also that they should have came as a transfer to us, not as an actual.
It's for the next following year. It's for the budget.
So then what
2000
was the point of you doing that at E&A?
We
They didn't do this at ENA.
So
not this
then-
part.
They're proposing transfers to the budget you have. It's just worded funny. You're right, it's weird how they're put together, but
I
they're
would-
not trying to move money.
We went through this last year too when we did
So
E&A approved
did you
annual
not just
estimate.
make a transfer at the Board of E&A though, to approve?
Not this. None of
Salary
this.
transfers?
No, this is so we can correct it and put the person in the right category.
So then
That's-
that needs to be removed through the table of organization.
We already took care of that. Now the council's budget lines will be off if we don't change the budget salaries to the table of organization.
Okay, all right, so then I make a motion to keep this in committee and then just transfer those when we do that. Just so that it's not confusing, so I understand it. And I can get the actual table of organization to see it.
So you're right, it's not a transfer.
Right, because
Amendment
that's,
to
but
the
that's what
budget.
it,
So you'll have to adjust revenue.
say
E&A
budget
approved annual transfer. Okay, so I guess that we didn't get that transfer through E&A either, if it was over $47,000.
No, there isn't, just, can I have the floor for 2 seconds?
I-
Kind of as the chair of Board of E&A. So, the Board of E&A made changes to the table of organization. Very similar to when we settled the Teamsters contract, right? The table of organization, right? But then the table of organization has to change for the new budget year. So we're talking about fiscal year 27. They are proposing transfers, or not transfers, they're proposing amendments to the budget to account for the fact that they modified, the Board of E&A modified the table of organization. Thank you. I was
Okay.
tired. So those are budget amendments, not transfers. E&A didn't do those transfers. Those are budget amendments that are kind of just parallel to the table of
Okay,
organization
so
changes.
then the, okay,
Yeah.
okay, all right.
What are we doing?
So I
budget
put it in
amendments.
committee
You guys do
and
what
then
you
just vote on it because all those are, yes, okay, that's it. I would just like to prove it all at one time so that we know. If you don't mind, thank you.
So we're gonna commit.
We have a motion and a second to
Motion.
A motion to commit.
proposed ordinance number 8.
Anyone opposed?
Come on. I don't know why we don't.
And that was 7 and 8.
7 and 8, and then
For the record,
same for 9 and 10.
7 and 8.
9 and 10 all.
Also, proposed ordinance number 9 and 10 to be placed in committee. Can I have a motion and a second?
Motion.
Second.
Anyone opposed? Jeanette? Can I have a motion and a second to introduce proposed ordinance number 11?
Motion.
Second.
E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, explanation, equipment repair to fleet, $14,000 for spare plow parts, monthly fastenal blanket for various supplies. Votes, please.
8 yeas adopted.
I think that, can I have a motion and a second
Motion.
pull proposed ordinance number 9 from committee?
Yes. Can I motion to pull number 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 17, 18, and 19?
Second. E&A transfer, fiscal year 2025-2026, transfer of overages. Votes, please.
Which one's this?
Number 9.
Eight yeas adopted.
We're on ordinance number 10 that we're pulling, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, explanation, transfer of funds to cover remaining expense for the Safer Grant, administrators, Berline, $80,000 contract.
Motion.
What? Yeah, we already did all of them in a group.
Eight yeas adopted.
So we're on proposed ordinance number 10, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026. No, is it? That was 10. Number 11, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026. Transfers of overages. Your votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
Ordinance number 12, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, assessment salaries and contracted services. Votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
Proposed ordinance number 13, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, explanation, transfer funds to cover 2 fire apparatus purchases that went over the authorized bond amount due to the rising cost to produce. Your votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
We are on proposed ordinance number 17, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, rise in insurance premiums for vehicles and city liability. Votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
Proposed ordinance number 18, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, overages. Votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
Proposed ordinance number 19, E&A transfer fiscal year 2025-2026, Nail Creek flood restoration. Your votes, please.
Eight yeas adopted.
We're not pulling anything else out. I just want to, what's that? Yeah, I just want to, Councilmember Lemenico's brother passed away a little bit over 10 days ago, so just give our condolences and our prayers are with you, Jack.
Thank you very much.
Motion to adjourn?
One last order of business.
If I may, do we want to put down some special meetings now while we're all here?
Sure.
Thank you.
11th?
Requesting a special committee meeting to discuss and enter some amendments for the budget, as well as any other material that might come up. That'll be, again, March 11th at 5 o'clock.
Sounds like a plan. Thank you.
Councilman Lomedico, do we want to call a special meeting and then a committee meeting after, so we could discuss what
We can introduce amendments.
commit?
Or,
What do we need a special meeting for?
because you got to
introduce.
Oh, okay, I apologize. Yes, go ahead. Go ahead.
You want to do a special meeting at 5 and then call a committee
Yeah.
meeting at 6 so
Whatever
we
you
can
guys
discuss?
decide, I'm good.
That's fine. You got that, Rocco?
Yes.
All right.
Motion to adjourn?
So, 5 o'clock.
Motion to adjourn.